Episode 202. Josh and Matt are back in the show. Evan and Ben are not. And Nick's here, per usual.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Friday.
Yeah, Josh and I were
rotating show staff in the last few weeks, but hey.
Josh and I were camping. Some would call it glamping. We didn't really put the tents out. We slept in, comfortable bedding arrangements in the wilderness of the Adirondacks. Pretty cool.
Yeah, still camping. I mean, right? Like I was still in a small camper with 3 of my kids, sleeping all around. But yes, I did have air conditioning when needed, and yeah. So not.
You guys go to the family campground?
Yes, we did.
The Pines. It is known as the Pines.
Yeah. It's been the Pines the last 10 years. I still struggle to remember. But yeah, I think they switched it when I went to school there.
It was great, honestly, like in the Adirondack Mountains, and overnight, 57 degrees, perfect for like a campfire. The day was like mid to upper 70s, could get some time on a lake in the boat, and the kids just rolling around. It was nice.
That sounds phenomenal.
All right. It says Josh is echoing, although I don't hear an echo. Nick, do you hear an echo?
I don't on my side.
I need the rest of the chat to tell me if it's very possible there's an echo. We were having some issues tonight with audio stuff.
Good old technology.
I don't know how to talk to remove an echo. Like I gotta change the way I talk.
Yeah. Just quiet it down as much as you can.
Someone said both Josh and Nick. Josh, yes, Nick, Josh, echo.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we may need to start over because I got to figure out what's going on with audio.
Okay.
I don't mind sitting here for a minute until they tell us there's no echo, and then we'll just restart.
Well, that's true. Live chat, live show viewers. I mean, thanks for telling us there's an echo. It may save people later. And although it's pretty annoying for me to talk, Matt, I'm sure I'm driving them crazy. Echo.
Yeah, stop talking.
Shout out to Matt. He's in the middle of a move and
this shouldn't
setting up everything. So we'll give Matt a little grace.
I'm not sure why there would be an echo, so let me hold on. Properties. We're going to try to fix it. Let's see. Where's it throwing that?
Right. I got to think with an echo, what should I say? It's like, welcome to PDGA Worlds 2024.
You got to put on your announcer voice.
Yeah, it is Worlds Week. I don't want to talk and annoy everybody, but honestly, Worlds Week is... We'll when we get this fired up and really rolling here, we'll nail it.
We'll really get into it.
But Worlds Week is definitely the best disc golf week, in my opinion.
Okay, let's see. Try again.
Echo. No.
No, don't do an echo.
Testing. Live chat, am I any better? Am I still rolling with an echo?
And if there is an echo, I am confused for the moment. Giving you all the behind the scenes work here. Still echo.
Yeah.
I think so.
Huh.
Where is an echo coming from? It's obviously not on your side, guys, but my audio seems to be a significant issue tonight.
I was just making sure my computer speakers weren't on. If everything was just going through my headphones, which it is.
Yeah, and if it's both of us.
Worlds Week, though. I know we're going to talk about it, but it's tough not to talk about.
They're not going to be able to hear you, and we're going to waste it. So sit tight.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Why? What do they mean, his mouth? His mouth is echoing.
Someone said, where is it coming from?
Oh.
His mouth.
Oh,
that would make sense.
Talk again?
Check.
Okay.
1 2 check.
At least I'm seeing what's happening here. Now, why it's happening, I don't know.
Right, but did you change something? That's always the question in tech.
Well, when I came back, no, that didn't change anything. Let's see. I know what I'm going to do here. Gonna have to post-produce it later. Okay, go ahead and talk again.
Go ahead, Josh.
All right. PDGA Worlds. Am I echoing? Are we good to go live? Anyone in the live chat? How are we sounding?
Yeah,
I said all good.
2025 World Championships. Or, excuse me,
2024. I mean, I'm ready to talk about next year also. But
yeah, I'm a year ahead. 2024.
Europe. I'm so tempted to go, Nick, to Europe.
Okay.
I'm thinking about it.
My issue is I would like to also take my wife to Europe.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I need to combine disc golf on my trip to Europe or not.
Go Monday through Sunday and take Monday through
true.
Thursday, and then you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
It's true.
Vacation nonetheless. Now, that's how I did my Scotland trip, was because we were with my whole family the whole time, pretty much driving around. And so I was like, I'm not going to be selfish and go play disc golf anywhere.
Yeah.
It was
Someone's saying it's good now. It's only a Band-Aid for the moment. I just want to double check one more thing before we try to change it up.
Mm-hmm.
Try talking again, Nick.
Check. 1,
Yeah,
2,
I cannot figure out why those got paired up. Okay, well, it just creates more work for me later. Okay.
Too much work? Do we got to start over? Everybody's being patient.
Yeah, no. In fact, yes, we are going to start over. No, we won't. I'm just going to hit intro. You're not going to hear any music, but I need the intro so we can get it going here. So this should work.
Timestamp.
Yeah, let's see if this works here. 3, 2, 1. Right, episode 202. This is a big episode. Is the pre-Worlds show. We're back. Matt and Josh are back from a camping trip to the wilderness of the Adirondacks. If you're listening live, you already knew that. We had to redo the intro. Nick's here, as usual, but Ben and Evan are gone. The short version is it's a mystery where Ben is. And he'll be back in a few weeks. I heard something about good opportunity and can't tell you about it, Matt, but I'll be back. So
I was
that's
say,
cool.
Technically, we actually don't know where Ben is, and that's the funny part.
Yeah,
Maybe
but Ben's
Matt
never
does.
wanted to turn down a top secret opportunity, right? Who in the world knows where he is?
Exactly.
Either that or he's feuding with us, and he, like you said, Matt, hopefully post-produce don't know, but we had a couple technical glitches. Maybe Ben, actually, this is a little bit of sabotage. He's setting up the show while he's away, kind of just having fun with us, but who knows? And missing Evan, if you mentioned that. But
yeah, Evan's away, Ben's away. Here we are, the trio tonight, and we've got a lot to talk about. I've got some takes that people are going to not be surprised by if they know the show and they've watched it long enough or listened to it long enough. By the way, we appreciate all of you listeners who chime in and listen as you're driving to work or whatever you're doing every single Tuesday morning or during the week. This episode of 202 is presented by Disc Golf 978. We love Disc Golf 978. They're doing fantastic things all around the world for disc golf, but very specifically for us as well here in the Northeast. You can check them out at their brick and mortar out at Meadowbrook Orchards disc golf course. And I always forget where it's located. It's Princeton or is it Clinton? It's one of those. I can't hear Nick, but that's okay.
Sorry, I muted myself because I was typing something. But West Boylston.
More tech. I thought we had more tech difficulties.
No. I have a super loud keyboard, and one thing I totally forgot to do. Anyways, I just had to type something.
Okay. So we're gonna get you a little louder because now people are saying you're quiet. I fixed you up now, I think, a little bit.
Wow,
so,
look at that.
Okay. So Disc Golf 978, you can see there on screen, free shipping on anything over $25, and I've said this before, that's pretty close to one order. Yeah, you might have to buy a little bit something else, maybe a chalk bag, a mini, and a disc, but it's free shipping once you hit that 25. They're also the rock bottom prices. Follow them on social media. You see them sponsor players like Casey White and others, but most notably Casey White. And again, they're going to make your life easy if you reach out to them for doing tournament player packs. This is all around the country. The payouts, they handle it all. It's beautiful. When the tournament finishes, you let them know. They send out the gift cards immediately. I can't speak for them, but I've always gotten it immediately, like that evening. Here, your balance is increased. And I just checked it the other day, and I've got hundreds of dollars in there. And it's just really cool. Easy shopping. It never runs out. Check out Disc Golf 978. They also do apparel. You're going to have to check out their first available apparel selection. There you go. Custom apparel right on screen. Get it done. It's awesome. Use code WeLove978. So tonight's show, guys, we got Jeff Spring. He's going to be joining us in about 45 minutes. It is a ways out, about 45 minutes if you just want to skip to that. But before we get to Jeff Spring, man, we've got a lot to talk about for Worlds, and I think we're going to try to pack it all in before that interview, including our picks, pop, drop, lock, how you can win the MVP Open Insider Pass. The MVP Open by OTB Insider Pass. It's worth $1,000. It's the best possible way to experience the MVP Open. We gave it away last year. We're giving it away another one. It's fantastic. So let me just tell you a little bit here because we want to point out a few things. So if you want a chance to interact with some of the touring pros at the MVP Open by OTB, Thursday is the meet and greet and compete. I don't know if you ever heard of that. Meet and greet and compete. Usually it's just like meet, greet, get an autograph, move on. This is and compete after the round Thursday and before night golf. You can get signatures. You can buy limited edition discs, compete in a putting contest with the pros. And if you think you're good at putting, imagine your chance to beat, and I don't know who the players are going to be, but some of your best players are going to be out there. Plus, Thursday's traditionally the smallest crowd, so you'll be able to see get as close to the action as possible, especially with the expanded viewing areas for every ticket level. Plus, for Thursday, this is specifically Thursday, ticket prices start at just $10 for the red tickets. 10. Everyone complains about ticket prices to see the pros play. You can do this for $10. There's expanded seating on holes 1, 2, 9, 10, 14, and 18 for red ticket holders. Those are some of your favorites. Hole 9, by the way, when we get closer, we'll break that down for the world. It got a massive overhaul. Spoiler alert, par 5 at Maple Hill. Yeah. And if that wasn't enough, the pros will be playing the new and only, there it is, par 5 on hole 9, Thursday and Friday only. So if you want to see it played, you got to be there Thursday or Friday. Park yourself behind the pin and watch the toughest hole at Maple. They're already claiming it to be the toughest hole at Maple, and it's a par 5. That means it's probably going to score over 5, is my guess, unless they're just saying a par 5 is the most tough, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So that's the MVP Open Insider Pass. So how do you win? How do you get it?
That's what I want to know because I wouldn't mind winning that. I imagine I'm disqualified, but
Same.
Maybe we should ask the chat if we can get in on that, but no. In the description for our show. So if you're driving to work, you might want to wait a minute. But if you go to the description of our show, whether it's in the podcast episode you're listening to on your favorite podcast streaming platform or inside of YouTube in the description. And actually, I was going to pull up a QR code. I don't think it's too late to do that. Let me see if I can pull this in really on the fly. I select image, say QR, say okay, find image. You guys are walking through this with me. I appreciate it. Go find.
If it's for the Insider Pass, absolutely.
It is. But now. What? Oh, it's in my downloads. Okay, whoa, now it's huge covering us up. So let me get this fit here. We're gonna screen it down. This is live production, everybody. live. You guys getting excited to see this QR code? I am. So I'm going to block me out. This is so big that you should be able to, if you're watching on your TV, go ahead and scan that. That is going to be one way to access by scanning this. It goes to a form. So here's the whole point. Go to our YouTube description, go to our podcast episode description, or scan the on-screen if you're YouTube. If you're watching with your phone, I guess you have to go into the description. But if you're watching on a TV, scan the QR code. What this does, you'll see, it's pretty easy. Go there, fill out the form. It asks for basic information, but the information is this: your name, your shipping address in case we need to ship something. We're asking for all this information up front. It also asks for your Pop Drop Lock username. You have to be a user of Pop Drop Lock, and the reason for that is because that's how we're going to decide who wins the giveaway. Okay, so put in your Pop Drop Lock username, a little copy and paste action right into there. It's going to also ask if you are a YouTube subscriber. It only gives you one option. You have to say yes, because that's the only way you can compete in this, is if you're a subscriber of our YouTube channel. So go ahead and answer that yes. If you're faking us out, I mean, later we'll find out, and it's just, don't do that.
It's a simple, just hit the left click on your mouse button, bam, you're subscribed.
So this is it, guys. Now, this puts you in the pool of people. This puts you in the pool of people to win the Insider Pass, okay? And the way that works now is you have to submit your Pop Drop Lock picks by Wednesday morning. Now, this is Monday night, so you only have 24.
Yeah, you got to do it by end of day tomorrow, depending on when you're listening. End of day Tuesday, probably.
So the reality is, this is for anybody. We wanted to make this for any of our listeners, but realistically, the live listeners and those who catch it the first day have the best bid at this, because otherwise you're going to have to sneak it in real early Wednesday before it gets locked out. But if you sign up with the form that we just put up there and you fill it out, that means you're entered in to the option to win, which means now go submit your picks at Pop Drop Lock, and we're going to see who out of the people who signed up have the highest score. So you might not win out of everybody playing Pop Drop Lock. That's probably likely you're not going to. Maybe you do. But if you're the highest finisher out of those who signed up, you win the Insider Pass, and we'll reach out to you. It's that simple. We wanted to give preference to all of our listeners, but again, the people who listen earlier in the week here, sorry for those who don't. It's not your fault, I'm sure. But that's how you're going to win. So there you go. MVP Open. We know it's a little ways away, but it's a big playoff event. Very awesome. It says, is it a two-person pass? And the answer to that is no. We'll put you in connection. We're not responsible for filling, obviously, the actual terms of the giveaway. We're going to connect you with the organizers, and they'll take care of that for you. There you go. That was a lot. We got it all out of the way. And now we can move on to talking world, because we're not going to look backwards right now. We're going to look forwards. So what do you think? Nick, you've had a pretty big presence in the Lynchburg, Virginia area for quite a while. I know you're down in Florida now.
Yep. I did.
Tell us a little bit. What do you think about the course? You've played it before?
New London's amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
The more wooded style course that the pros are going to be playing on this week, that they've been playing on for last week practicing, and then what we will all be able to watch. It's a very, very fun course, very difficult course. As Paul said it in one of his press conferences recently, it was designed off of a European style course. So it's something that, we don't have a lot of in the U.S. One of the biggest things was, the best way for me to describe it is there's 6 open holes, there's 6 wooded holes, and then there's 6 moderately wooded / moderately open holes. But these fairways, like hole 1 is a 390-foot par 3. It's very, very wooded, but the fairway itself is beautiful manicured to where you kind of have to shank a shot to really get into massive trouble on that one. And that's a lot of the course. But then there are some very, very wooded holes like 12, 13, 17, 8, you can keep going on and on and on. But incredible course. Now, I have not seen the Ivy Hills course in person. That's the golf course they're playing this year. But I was watching Ezra's double round, actually, with Aaron Gossage, Adam Hammes, and Paul Macbeth. And it's it looks very fun. A lot of the pros are saying it's actually designed very, very well for being a golf course, and it is super elevated, which is one of the biggest things. Just insane elevation at that property. So I'm excited for it.
Okay. Is there a lot of OB at Ivy Hills? Do we know anything about that? I've been seeing some talk about that.
So far from what I saw in Ezra's video, and I think I finished the front 9 of it just about, there is plenty of OB out there to be had. Oh, yeah.
So this comes into play when we're making our picks here, because we've never seen anybody officially play this. So we don't really know, but we can kind of place it with others maybe in our head. Fox Run comes to mind. Is there any, I mean, a lot more elevation, I think, at Ivy Hills.
I think
elevation.
like, yeah, probably like more like toboggan, but way cleaner and way like nicer looking golf style, but the elevation. Yeah, because I'm hearing, right, so at 11,794 feet, which is crazy.
It's a dog of a course.
Right. For that, for MPO. FPO, by the way, is 10,372 feet. And yeah, which sounds like it caters to distance, but what I'm hearing is because of how technical and some of the OB and the fact that elevation is such a significant presence that it literally, right, is a factor that they have to consider, that it plays a lot shorter than that number sounds. Now, short would not be the right word. It's still a long course, but shorter than it sounds. And yeah, I think it's gonna, everybody seems to be raving about, I'm sure there will be some complaints, but I don't think distance is such a premium there that, you know, people who are strong at throwing long have such a significant advantage. It's more about placement, the ability to throw far but drop it right in a landing zone, whatever it may take. So it will be really intriguing to see. Obviously, we're going to finish both rounds there. What it sounds like is it's kind of like the course style itself is not comparative, but remember how European Open was like, hang in there at the brutal course and just don't blow up, and then come out and throw at least a hot round. Again, I don't think it'll compare to the scores that we saw over in Europe, but throw your hot rounds on Ivy Hill, and the fact that we're finishing 2 rounds there, I don't know, it should be exciting. It's pretty interesting to be approaching a brand new venue that we have no real history with. Yes. At least at the elite level, there's obviously some history on London, but New London, but even then, but so much, like I'm hearing almost exclusively positive. I'm sure there's some criticisms, but that's pretty amazing to even have that happen.
Yeah, it's funny because for me, I lived there for just about 3 years, and so when everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's a new stage," I'm like, "Oh no, I've been there. I've been to both courses before." Ivy as a golf course, and the family who own Ivy Hills, the Runks, are super, super incredible people, and they are putting in all the time and effort that's been needed to make this World Championships as big as it can be. And if you saw on the 2025 schedule for next year, the DGPT Championships are also being hosted in Lynchburg, Virginia. So I'm assuming Ivy Hills would be right back on the map. And I know I was actually just on the phone with Paul about an hour or two ago, and he was saying there were a few pros that have been playing the game for a long time, one of which just being Nico LaCastro. And Nico had said these are the 2 best courses that he's ever played at a World Championships. So, and I've seen a lot of pros posting about New London, saying how fun it is. Eric Oakley said New London is good. And if you know Eric Oakley, he always says, like, is that good? And so I'm super excited to
I saw players complaining about it being unfair. Like, hey, it's not a lefty friendly at all.
I will say it definitely. So, okay. So I have seen that it's not lefty friendly, especially the first 6 holes, I would say. Now they did take out some of the OB that does help out lefties. But then I did see a lot of pros talk about a lot of right-handed pros saying that they're throwing a lot of forehands in the woods at that course. So you kind of have, the mix and match, but most definitely if you've ever played New London as just an average amateur local professional, it is not a lefty friendly course at all.
Well, we're going to watch a lot of exciting things unfold there, and this is where we turn it towards kind of our takes, maybe our picks. We're going to get into Pop, Drop, Lock, but before you reveal your picks, I kind of want to hear, I'll set you up for this, but I want to hear your opinions on maybe how you think it might play out a bit without revealing your Pop, Drop, Lock, because we're not really going to talk about that in this exact moment. So here's my setup. I decided to say, I thought about this for a while. I decided to say that almost anybody in the top 40 could win it this year. And you're like, where are you getting that? Well, figure this out, or listen to this. 28 of the top 40 have podiumed this year. Anybody who podiums has a chance. So you can say, well, Matt, really the number's 28. But guess what? 40 of those top 40 have placed in the top 10 and high 30s in the top 5. So I feel like anybody there is within striking distance. I wouldn't be surprised to see any of the following win it. For instance, Kyle Klein, Anthony Barella, and who thought at this point would say wouldn't be surprised to see him win. My highest percentage chances, though, go to Burr, Wysocki, Heimberg, Dickerson, and Macbeth. Those are my high picks here. Let's start with MPO. Josh, do you have any feelings on how this might unfold?
No, I'm thrown off because I was looking at a bunch of notes I had, and so I'm actually trying to follow along with what was being said.
No, just in general, like break it down. Do you have any favorites? Do you think someone's here a dark horse? What are your takes with
a 5-round tournament? I think your best players are going to be at the top. Obviously, Macbeth has not had the best play this year, but still there's that history, and I'm not willing to give up on 1 year where he finished 13th last year. Prior to that, right? 1-1, 2-2, 1-1, 1-1, whatever the order is. So still putting him up there. Ricky is still, deserves to be up there. By the way, those are the only 2 players in the field. Well, actually, there are 3 players in the field. Only 2 players who have won more than one Worlds. It's both of them, right? And then you have a couple vying for a second, including Isaac Robinson. So those are the names I put up there, and then I add Gannon Burr. Just a tier behind that is like a Dickerson and some of the other popular names. But if you notice, right, what's the cliche we always say, picking like chalk? I think Worlds is the tournament where you do that. It's so rare that we have somebody pop off outside of that in World's history. Obviously, every once in a while, someone has to break through. You could say Isaac Robinson did that, but he had also won a major just prior. So right on that second cusp, wasn't a big surprise. Greg Barsby was a big surprise. So it does happen. But I mean,
what
really,
about
I'm picking the names I know.
I know, but what about an Andrew Presnell? Now, I bring him up because he did win a major this year. So you're saying those are Isaac Robinson. So I think you have players like that this year. Did I say how many 9 different MPO winners this year? 9 different. Yeah. So I mean, at the very least, I feel like you could say 9 different options. But I gave you a case for why there could be 28 different winners. They've all podiumed, 28 podiums, different people.
Yeah, and I can understand the case. I'm just saying I think literally, even though just adding one more round, so that 5th round really starts to change things. Yeah. Because even at when Presnell won, there were a lot of good players within attack, and the question is, and it's a counterfactual type question, but could Presnell have held on for another round? Right now he did it for 4, so great. Maybe he can do it for 5, and maybe he could. I'm not picking him, not because I don't like him, but because I just think Worlds brings out a different level with all these players. Almost all of them. Maybe you can argue, right? US DGC is that equivalent. For me, it's a number 2 behind this tournament, and this tournament is the one that every player, the experienced ones who have all the wins under the belt, this is the one they care about. And those who are trying to literally arrive in the pantheon of disc golf legacy, this is the one they're trying to get. Yeah. And so it's just the mental approach is different. And we talk about golf being so much a game of mindset that I think that drive is a big part of what makes the difference here.
All right. So, Nick, I'm going to give you the same opportunity. Say your players who you think is going to shine. You know the courses pretty well. Someone said Conrad. Does he have a chance?
So, well, I was actually going to say, I mean, just going off of what Josh was just saying is players, we have the World Championships, and then we have the USDGC, and we have other couple majors, Champions Cup, European Open. They don't announce those at the beginning of tournaments. They always say, and 6-time world champion Paul Macbeth, 2-time world champion Ricky Wysocki. We weren't calling James a 1-time USDGC winner, or even Gannon Burr, 1-time USDGC winner at all these tournaments. You look for the World Championships. That's the tournament in our sport right now that really etches players in history. So, yeah, for a 5-round event, really getting that dog in them coming out, the cream of the top is going to rise. So, obviously, the chance of having a 1-time winner coming up this year is a lot higher than a multiple time winner, just because there are so many people who haven't won yet. But we do have players that are absolutely incredible that could take it down, like Isaac Robinson would be a 2-time if he wins it this year. Then you have, Paul and Ricky, who are finding their stride. They are still in contention at a lot of tournaments to where they know what it's like to win a world championships. Majority of the field has no idea what it's like to win a world championships. So that little extra pressure could get to people. But you have other players who are playing absolutely incredible. So Anthony Barella, Gannon Burr is having the best year by far right now. I would say just an incredible year to where this could be the year of Gannon Burr winning the world championships. So you have players like that. I think the world championships really does bring out who the best player is that year. Now, obviously, there are some years where like James Conrad, Greg Barsby, and maybe even Isaac Robinson were not the number one players that year, but they still ended up clutching up at that 5-round tournament. James Conrad doing it in a playoff. Greg Barsby by 2 or 3 strokes coming down the stretch over at Fox Run. I think for how fair these courses are going to be for the pros, I think this does have a potential chance to bring up another one of those players. But over 5 rounds, I would put my money on, people who have really, really been in that spot are kind of classified as winners in our sport. So I look at players like Ricky Wysocki's playing incredible right now. Gannon Burr's playing incredible right now. Anthony Barella's had a great year so far. Isaac Robinson, not as much, but he's still a great player, even Ezra Robinson. And then, Paul McBeth, obviously, being in that conversation is just someone where he designed one of the courses. So you got to think that's got to have a little bit of an advantage, hopefully, at it for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've laid out who we think has possibilities of winning it. And I already said, I think I'd be surprised if some of the top 40 won it. But my point still stands. We've had an epic year, 9 different winners, 28 different podium finishers. But to your point, it sounds to me like we're looking at the players who can do the best on average over 5 rounds. And that usually does bring the cream to the crop of the top. Cream of the crop to the top.
I know. I always struggle saying that. This, like New London, from the experience that I've had over at New London, trying to score there, you do need a powerful backhand. You do need a powerful forehand on a couple holes, but you also need those touch shots. So a player like Chris Dickerson can go out and shred that course, but it might not happen every single time because his forehand's not as dominant. Same thing with like Isaac Robinson, James Conrad. They're not forehand dominant players to where that could hurt them over at New London. But then Ivy Hills, I don't know how much of a distance competition it is at that course. We say that a lot with golf courses, is like, how far do you really need to throw there? It's like Fox Run's not a distance throwers course. It's an open course, but it's not a distance throwers one. But then you also have people like Simon Lizotte, who is very, very sneakily good in the woods. And then we obviously know Simon as being a powerful player on open courses. So even someone like that, it'd be awesome to see Simon win a 1-time.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have MPO kind of laid out there. We're still going to bring you our picks for Pop Drop Lock soon here, but that's kind of how we're feeling about how this is going to play out. We have our favorites that we've kind of given you there. I'd like to jump over to FPO, and I have a similar take here. Instead of going top 40 MPO, I just cut it in half for FPO. It seems about right. So out of the top 20 FPOs, and when I say top 20, you know where I'm getting this number from? Pop Drop Lock best average finishes. So players who are averaging the best finishes, the top 20 who have the best average finishes. Guess how many of them out of the top 20 best finishers have had a podium? Out of the top 20. What do you think? You're muted again.
Let's go 13.
13, Josh.
10.
18. Nearly every single one of them in the top 20 have podiumed. If that tells you anything about your chances, again, you could say, Matt, a podium's not enough. And I agree. But if you're there, you're usually within striking distance. You got to say you're within striking distance. Obviously, you can have a Kristen runaway. But the point is, if that doesn't happen, then you're within striking distance.
Yeah, we have seen it, like 2018 Paige Shue. I don't know exactly, or Björkis at the time, right, when she won. But like, yeah, you do have players who are just on the cusp who can win. So, I mean, your point stands. I certainly understand we could see somebody pull it off. But
I mean, we saw Anneken Sten win. I thought that was, you know, a big one and exciting to watch. Paige Pierce herself has a win this year. We have 8 different winners in FPO. 5 rounds. I know the favor seems to go towards Kristen. And it very well may. And maybe she just had an off round recently. She just got married. Maybe, you know, a lot of things are maybe falling in place perfectly for Worlds to be another win for her. And it would not be a surprise at all. But I have a bet going with Ben right now. And the bet is the field versus Kristen. And that's just me trying to get some more money. I think if you were actually betting on the odds, it's probably Kristen. But I think there's something to be said for who else could take it down. And so one of those being, and it's not a far-fetched idea at all, is Haley King. I feel like if I know it's hard to pick her because sometimes she falls off with her mental game and she seemingly, I'm not saying she does give up, but it has this appearance to this down and out. So if she starts going out of bounds or missing putts, it's not well. If she can have her on game, Haley King would be a favorite in my mind for this event. The Woods, we saw her do that down in Charlotte for the championship finale. She won one year. And we know in big open shots, she can throw extremely far as well. I think it's shaping up well for her. But other names obviously would be anybody like Ella could do it. Missy, Holland, Evelina, Owen, Kristen. This is a year where honestly FPO in my mind is more of a toss-up than it's ever been. I wouldn't even leave Paige Pierce out of it, to be honest. We just don't know what she's going to bring. What are your thoughts on FPO? Anything different or adding to?
No, pretty much the same. I mean, realistically, take Henna Blumroos and Evelina Salin, 2 incredible throwers. They just need to have a week of putting. Henna was actually in contention 2 years ago out at DDO or out at Poria, Kansas, and just struggled the last couple of rounds with her putting. And then all of a sudden, like, Kristen doesn't make those same mistakes, or usually doesn't make those same mistakes. So she was just able to kind of grow and grow and grow. If Evelina and Henna both can get their putting game dialed for this week, I think those are 2 players that can absolutely do great. I mean, Evelina won playing 4 rounds over at Northwoods earlier this year. So she's got the woody game down. She just, within 50 feet, just needs to be dialed in. Even realistically, even within 28 feet, just has to be able to make those and not take the big numbers that we've seen. European Open being kind of one of the big examples, the final round this year. So,
Josh, any other thoughts for FPO? I mean, it's all the same. I'm assuming, I haven't seen the FPO layout. I'm assuming it's more friendly pars. Obviously, it's not the same layout as MPO, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, right. It's adjusted so the distance is shorter. I think for FPO on New London, it's actually the pars 1 stroke more. And I think it's the same. Let's see. On New London, MPO is a par 68, FPO is a par 69, and on Ivy Hill, it's MPO 67, FPO 69. So they actually have higher pars, shorter distances, but I think, right, it's intentionally being laid out to suit the FPO game, so I would expect it to be excellent in a fair comparison as far as that goes. And Matt, like, yeah, I mean, maybe I don't think it's likely, that many of those people who have gotten podiums, especially if they're third place podiums, have a real shot at winning Worlds. And again, I keep coming back to this is why Worlds as a major event always has more rounds. And I'm not saying they can't win. That would be ridiculous. Of course they can. But who's likely to win? In the last 2 years, Kristen Tatar, take a guess at what her stroke margin of victory was. It was the same for the last 2 years that she's won.
5 or 6.
8 strokes.
Oh yeah, 8. Yep.
Each year. So, but that's, again, that sounds like a lot because most of our events never come down that far, but most of our events are only 3 or 4 rounds, and this is 5 rounds. And there's so many variables that can come down the stretch. But I mean, I think you have to have her as your favorite.
No one wants to hear it, because maybe it's too soon in her, big career that she has that's going excellent these last 2 years. When is that like, hey, I've done a lot at a high level and I can't keep up with it because everybody else is coming? When does that happen? The same thing, like Simon had that incredible year. And then it's like, you can't keep that up. Paul kept it up for quite a while. There's no doubting that. But like and he's making a pushback at the right time. We can talk about that. But like, Is this too early to say, Kristen? What have we seen this season? Anything to indicate that it's slowing down for her? Is there anything to indicate that?
No, we've seen a few weird rounds, which probably caused some people to be a little uncertain. But if you look at the big picture, a few less events this year, a little more intentional. But then you actually look at what she's like averaging and where she's actually finishing. I think you realize you're like, oh, she's actually just fine.
Okay, so U.S. Women's Major. Okay, Champions Cup Major. Those were her worst finishes this year. Majors. Now, just saying. Maybe it's too early in the season. That was part of it. I don't know. But she got a 6th and a 5th, 2 outside of podiums at majors. So to say this major is any different, there's a lot of factors. But if I'm to pose any shadow of a doubt, that's what I'm bringing to the table. The 2 majors earlier on that she didn't perform her best.
And we don't have to harp on this a lot, but she was almost 0 for 3 in majors this year. Going over to European Open, she was down big going into the final round.
She was clutch, man.
Yeah, so it was funny. I was with the Macbeths last week, and I was asking Paul. I was like, "Let's talk clutch."
Was that clutch, bro?
And no, it was more so. I think a lot of people will say this too. I do think she had clutch moments. I think, look, if you come back 7 strokes, whatever it was in the final round, I think that's clutch regardless. But Evelina and was it Silva? It definitely did, kind of throw it over to Kristen and let her kind of walk away with that. But realistically, she was almost 0 for 3 in majors this year. Couple injuries here and there throughout the season. She hasn't played as many of events as a lot of the other touring pros have. But I think, hot take, I think Latitude's already got the 3-time Graces printed and ready to be shipped to Lynchburg, Virginia for Sunday to start selling. That's my take.
Awesome. I think I have fire. There we go. Fire take on screen. So people want to know, Matt, why are you always talking Kristen the way you are? I honestly have a lot of the opinions I'm bringing, and I feel like if I don't bring them, it's just way more boring just to sit here and talk about Kristen, move on.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that there's some people that it resonates with. Some are just like, dude, you make me mad. Well, sorry. But let me bring up a name in the top. Katrina Allen, where she's at in her place in life right now, it is what it is. And that's exciting for her.
9.9 months pregnant right now.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very exciting. I'm not downplaying at all. I've been there with my wife, and it's really exciting. Yeah. But I just mean, like, she would have been a part of the conversation a lot more of this year, and I'd be interesting to see how she comes back if she does. I would assume she would. But if I say Paige Pierce, scale of 1 to 10, what are you giving her her chance to win? How you project it, maybe. I'd
give her a 6 or so. Honestly, I would put her pretty close, like, I would almost guarantee that Paige podiums this week.
Ooh, there's another fire.
Yeah, I think Kristen wins it. I mean, we'll obviously talk about that in Pop Drop Lock later on. I think Kristen wins it, but I definitely think Paige is someone who's won Worlds before. She's an incredible player. She has a win this year. I think she will. I think she'll podium. So
someone in the chat said a 3 for Paige. Let's get your numbers out there.
Yeah.
Josh, I'll give you another number. Another player. Cat Merch.
Chance of winning?
Yeah, 1 through 10. Where do you put it?
Ooh, a 3.
3, low.
Even though I think I've picked her at various points this year to play well, but I just think Worlds brings out the best of the best in your top players, and she's a little bit shy of that. So
yeah, we know Kristen's your 10. Or at least that's what I'm hearing from you. Kristen's your 10. I think Nick would say the same. Who's your 9 or your 8 that you say is going to be in contention? Nick, you said you wouldn't be surprised with Paige in the podium, so maybe she's an 8 for you. But who would be your 9?
Yeah, like 7 or 8. If we're going to do it like that, she would be my 8. And then my 9th, it's a toss-up of 3 players being Holland Hanley, Missy Gannon, and Owen Scoggins.
Okay.
Those are my 3 who, like, I would struggle. I almost want to give the nod to Missy out of all of that, but Holland just picked up a win recently, and Owen just picked up a win recently. So it's tough, but I would put Missy kind of at my 9.
Okay, and I'll close this out by saying I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be happy and impressed, but not surprised. Rebecca Cox somehow pulls off a podium. This would be the year so far to this point. The advancing further over last year's average by far of everybody. So like she's averaging right now a 10th place, so it would be a pop off for her, but this would be the year. And then you listed some. I just think I switch out possibly. I don't know if you said. Did you say Ella in there?
I did not.
Okay, not Ella. I was gonna say I want to swap one of those with Evelina over Holland. If she's actually advanced to where she is, where she says it doesn't bother her anymore to think about the rounds, because that was her kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
She can now just play. I agree. But is Owen going to be able to keep up on a distance like Ivy 3 rounds? I don't know.
We'll see.
Missy made trouble as well, but if she doesn't go OB, Missy's pretty good at target golf. Like, just place it where it needs to be. So there's a lot at play here. Okay. That's MPO. That's FPO. We're going to jump into, and I don't know that you guys, as in Josh and Nick, are going to hear the audio, but I think I might have fixed it for everybody else. So let's go ahead and see here. You can comment in the chat if you can hear the audio. I can hear it. So, pop, drop, lock. All right. Moving into pop, drop, lock. This is where we let you know our picks, as opposed to olden days. We used to just be like, all right, who's getting first? Who's getting second? Who's getting third?
Yeah.
That just got old. And I see someone in the chat say they don't like so much how it seems like gambling talk. Well, we appreciate that you're here. You're not sure that you like it. That's great. But you find yourself watching every week, but I find myself not watching as much. Okay. Here's the deal. Use this as gleaning information from our takes. We have people that come to us and say they love this part, not because they even play, because they want the insight into why or how we're picking a certain player to perform at a course this given week. And so that's kind of what we're doing. We're giving you our takes on this. Do with the information what you will. If you want to go gamble or bet, we would have a gambling and betting
happening a lot
hotline.
in Europe, apparently.
Yeah.
So European disc golf betting.
If everything's been inputted correctly and the show is working officially, we're going to start with Nick, and it should, I'm doing points. Never mind. That was last week's points, or the week before. Here's Nick's take. That should be correct. Can you read it?
They are. Yes. So I just want to make sure that they went in correctly.
Yep.
But I am, because I do struggle to read it sometimes on my side of things, I'm going to just pull it back up. For my MPO, actually, I'll start with the FPO side. I'm going to go with the one-time, for pop-off, the one-time world champion, Paige Shue. I think this is a week. Maybe we'll kind of see something like 2018 happen again. My drop is Lisa Fakis. She's averaging 12th right now. Just kind of looking for points in that regards. Nothing against her, but just kind of maybe get some points out of it. And then my lock, obviously, Kristen Tatar, going for the 3-time this week. Simple as that. On my MPO side, I've got
Hold on. Before you go MPO.
Yep.
I wrestled with, I mean to say this, like I wrestled with picking Paige Shue or not. And I know you and I often pick the same. The reason I didn't pick her, and I'm giving away that I didn't pick her, I feel like Ivy Hills, and I didn't see the FPO layout, is just going to be a little too much for her. Not her capabilities. Yeah. But I'm not sure she's there for 3 rounds of that. But we'll see. I think
potentially those uphill shots will be a struggle. But
all right, we'll see how it plays out for you. She's averaging 34. So
yeah. Going on to the MPO side, my boy Danny Scott, Aiden Scott, he played great just a few weekends ago and actually got me, I think, around 50 points. So kind of hoping for the same action this week. I went with Gannon Burr as a drop, literally, because he's 5th place right now, and I'm just wondering if, like, maybe this week will be a little bit too much pressure for him. Looking for points in that regards, hoping to get some, maybe even 5 points, whatever. And then my locks, my homeboy, Paul Macbeth, I think he's going for 7-time this year. Well, I know he's going for 7-time, but I think he gets the 7-time this year.
Wow. You know what? It's not even crazy for you to pick Paul. And by me even saying that, that sounds crazy to say that I would have to say that.
I know, right?
Like, that's not crazy. It's like, well, why would you even say that? It's because of how the season started. That's why. If you look at the last like 5 or 6 events, he's literally like top 6 or better the last 5 or 6 events. So good pick there, I think. I was just looking real quick because you mentioned Paige Shue and we said she's averaging 34th, and I was curious how many players in FPO. 89. That's a lot. So, I mean, there's a lot of points up for grab there either way. If she does well, good. If she doesn't, she can also lose you a lot of points. But a lot of high-rated FPO players here. I'm not sure how many numbers this goes. I'm guessing she's sitting somewhere around 40th rated, somewhere in that range. I'll have to double check. But okay, on from that, going to my picks. You won't believe it. Or you will. I don't know how I can put so much faith in this happening, but I'm rolling the dice. I need the points. Brody Smith. I picked Brody Smith to pop off. What do we know? Does he play New London at all? I've seen him. I think I've seen him do it in Foundation Disc Golf Channel. I think he's got the experience there. I'm not saying he plays it well. I don't know his like playability of that. But I just feel like he's going to play better than what he's averaging. And if you had to guess right now, Brody Smith, Josh, what do you think? What's he averaging this year?
Oh, what placement?
Yeah.
86.
No, he's doing better than that. So
68,
yeah.
Yeah.
I got the numbers backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, I'm like, wait, is it 86?
Wait a second. Yeah. 68.
I just saw that a little bit ago. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of MPO players there. There are 208. So is he going to beat, what is that, 110 of them or more? Like, it's in that range. Like,
yeah.
I feel like this is the time to do it. I wouldn't be surprised with him placing anywhere better than 68. Is he going to do it? I don't know. We'll see. That's my pick for Pop. I won't spend that long on all of them, but Greg's Barsby's my drop purely because the longer courses playing a bigger part this year. I just saw him on some video. I don't know if it's YouTube. He's like, I leave the distance comps up to those guys. I don't even play or participate anymore. I'm a putter. He can do pretty well in the woods, obviously. He can do well on open courses, but you mix a lot of length in there, he's going to start losing strokes on the field. Is he going to drop below his average? I don't know. Gannon Buhr, my lock. This is my last pick of Gannon Buhr. Josh, you probably can confirm, but this is my last pick of Gannon Buhr. This is number 5 for me. I claimed 2 years ago, he's going to win multiple worlds. I need him to start doing it now. Just for your same reasons of picking Kristen, both of you, I'm assuming. I'm picking Gannon for that reason. Just the odds. It's literally the odds. Like the amount of, he's the best one to have the chance to do it. Paige Pierce is my pop. I don't need to explain that. Luca Lorenzen, my drop. She's been playing really well this year. Just don't think these are the courses for her. I always want to be surprised. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Can you believe my lock is Evelina? And I told you why. And I'll say it again. One, I have a bet going with Ben, so I can't really bet. I could bet against myself here. The field versus Kristen. Now, I didn't pick Owen. I didn't pick Missy. There's a whole bunch of others I could go with. Holland. Evelina, come on. She's already won 2 big ones this year. One of them being a major, right? Why am I brain freezing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this could be it.
This could be chess.com.
And how close was she to winning the not major in the disc golf festival, European Disc Golf Festival? I mean, if you watch how that finished, playoff, missed putt from short, you can say, well, Matt, she's going to do it again, But my point is she's playing so well this year comparatively. Big courses, if she can put it all together, she's my pick to win it. So there you go. Let's see what Ben put in. Ben, Ghost of Ben. I don't know how we want to refer to him these 2 weeks, wherever he is on his journey of opportunity. It's exciting for Ben, but he said he got his picks in, and I think he gave us adjustments for the following weeks as well. He planned ahead. He picked Kevin Jones to pop. That's so typical Ben. He's picking the player like that. Luke Humphreys to drop. I hope he expected a laugh there. He's been picking Luke one way or another, pop or drop. And then Isaac Robinson to win Worlds. I know he's an Isaac Robinson fan, but what we've seen
surprised he didn't go with Gannon Buhr.
Yeah, you're right.
Pretty surprised about that.
What is he trying to do? Did he think I was going to pick and he's trying to keep his lead? Isaac Robinson, let's see. What is he averaging this year? He is averaging 19. And it's his lock. Now, he's doing a little bit of what I'm doing. It's not that. It's just, all right. And then for FPO, you won't be surprised to find out Madison Walker, his pop. His drop is Holland Handley. So, okay. I'm okay with that because that means he's thinking she might drop, and I kind of need that for Evelina to play well, I think. And then Own is his pick for lock. So far, we have 3 different FPO picks, Josh. 3 different. Are you going to hold it down and go for 4? Let's see. Josh, give us your picks.
All right, so my pop is going to be
I
Macbeth.
love the pop lock.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the pop lock, I mean, if you if you have somebody averaging 30th and you think they're going to win, you got to pick them in both places, right?
It's like all in kind of thing.
Yeah. Plus, that's who I want to root for in this case. And then my drop is Heimberg. Similarly, not because I think it'll be a disaster, but averaging 8th, like, the most he can lose me is 8 points if he wins the whole tournament.
Yeah.
Plus, like, he's just had a weird year. That doesn't mean bad because Calvin's not a bad player, but it's just not the year he had before. And then Pop, Ben will be proud with Madison Walker. So I've just decided, hey, why not roll with it? And my drop, Matt, is Evelina. So you and I are seeing this separate. And my win is Kristen. Kind of already discussed why. I just think she's still one of the best consistent performers, even though we've seen a little bit of an anomaly on that consistency this year. I still think that's really who she is at her core, and I expect that to show up on the course.
Good picks. And by the way, these picks, I don't know if you felt like these were the hardest picks yet of the season for a few reasons. One, we haven't seen Ivy Hill. And two, because averages are getting dialed in so far through the year now, it's really become who the player pretty much is. So picking who's going to play over and above that is tough. It's a true pop or drop now. You're like, this is who they are. Who's going to pop off? It's tough. All right. And then moving to Evan's picks. I think he put them in. So let's see what he did here. And then obviously some of the picks. Okay, he's stealing my picks for his drops. My pops for his drops. Okay, so he popped off Alden Harris. Popped off Alden Harris. It's probably fair. What is Alden Harris average?
40s?
42.
Yeah.
I can see that. Anything better than 42 is points for him, and it could be big. Dropping Brody Smith because I popped Brody Smith. He's locking Gannon Burr, so I'm on the same page with him here to win. He thinks Gannon Burr. Paige Pierce is his pop. Guess who else did that? I did. So we have similar picks so
What's
far.
his lock? Or his drop?
His drop was Paige.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, because that's my pop.
It has to be, yeah.
Oh, canceled out. That's happened before. Tells me I have a good pick, I think. If it ever matches like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he's picking Kristen Tatar to win FPO. 1, 2, 3 picks for Kristen. Me and Ben both went rogue. Evelina and Own. Wait a second. Remember my bet with him that Kristen would win? He said Kristen would win. He would pick Kristen over the field. So I guess, I don't know. He owes me $20 if Own wins.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Hooligan Disc. I'm actually wearing their hat right now. I love the hats that they sent out to us. I rep them as much as I can with the hat. And what they're going to do is ship out the winners of this segment that you get them submitted before, again, Wednesday before. I think it's 7 a.m. the day of tournament round. Now, I think it's 7 a.m. local time, so it'd be Eastern time, 7 a.m. But Hooligan Discs, awesome company. Definitely check them out. Hit them up. Win this, get a prize shipped to yourself. So, okay, let's see here. I think we're at a place where we're ready to bring in friend of the show, but I've got a lot going on my side, so let me go ahead and hit a button here, bring in our friend. You guys can't hear the music. I can. All right, here we go. Welcome to the show. Jeff Spring. Let me see and make sure again on my side. Boom. How are you doing, Jeff?
He is not Gannon Burr for everyone reading the label. It says he's Gannon Burr, but he is not Gannon Burr.
Yeah, we'll just leave Gannon Burr up for a bit. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing well. I'm hanging in there. How about you guys?
You're hanging in there? Yeah. That's good. That's good. I'm actually going to do it this way. I didn't plan this part out. Let me change this up. We're going to go Nick, Matt, Jeff, Josh, and here we go, like magic. It should be like magic. We're going back to the 4 up here. Boom. That way we can all talk and have a good old conversation. Everyone here? We can all hear? Good.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to change his name from Gannon Burr. So
I'm good with being Gannon. He's
it's not a bad
having
year.
a good year, yeah.
That's
Who's having a
well.
better year, Jeff or Gannon? We'll see.
Currently.
Okay, so we brought you on, well, one friend of the show, but two, Disc Golf Pro Tour announced this week, probably strategically so. Oh, let me just ask, do you guys have strategic purpose for like, hey, I'm announcing before Worlds and off week? Is that like planned out? I'm assuming it is, but.
Yeah, not deep strategy, but
Okay.
looking for the right time to announce it, and looking at Worlds coming up, and we didn't have a an event the weekend before, purposefully. So that was also strategy. But no, we tried to get it out a little earlier this year. We're working on moving the 26 schedule even earlier as well. So it looked like the right week, and we went for it.
Cool. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, so Jeff, so congrats on 10 years. Obviously, I mean, you've been involved since the beginning in various roles. And in some ways, I know the answer to this, but I'm curious how you just react. Like 10 years ago, did you foresee that, one, this is maybe where you would be and this is where the Pro Tour would be? And maybe as a quick thought exercise, cast another 10 years in the future. Can you even imagine what it might be like then?
Yeah, 10 years ago, I think it was still a spark in Steve's eye, but we were coming up on it. So we're really excited to be pushing towards the 10th season here. Excited for the schedule. Yeah, I mean, I can't predict what's going to happen in 10 years. I just know that we're, thankful for the first 10 and very confident in the next 10 and continuing growth, but especially since, we've taken over post Steve, DGPT 2.0, and of course Steve's still a part of it. It's just been a roller coaster. The growth has been insane. We're feeling great about where the tour is at and positioned for next year, and getting a little earlier on the schedule is going to help a lot. And I feel like we've got our path forward and our goals for 5 years and 10 years, and hopefully we make it all happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with this announcement of the 10th year, obviously the biggest part of the announcement was the actual schedule itself. And there were some other things we may ask you about, season passes and so forth. But from a schedule standpoint, I mean, I think anytime like calendar management comes into play, it's one of the hardest things. But ignoring that part, I'm curious, when you lay this out and you look at the season, what do you, as the leader of the Pro Tour, what are you expecting from players when you lay out a season like this? Are you actually thinking, hey, I hope they can attend them all, and so you're laying them out with that in mind, right? Or are you just really kind of trying to grow, like especially when you look at the overlap of European events and over here in the US and kind of the flow? What's your thought? Are you trying to pack the schedule? Or are you trying to make it so it's more reasonable for a player to play every single event?
No, we know players won't play every single event, and players have choices to make. And that's good, especially when this field splits at the start of the European swing. I think that it's going to be a longer block in Europe than ever before because of two majors. And the PDGA put those major dates out there, and we work around them. So those were kind of on the schedule, and it's unsustainable for players. The bulk of our tour, the U.S., that are kind of road life, van life, like in RVs, to be in Europe for a really, really long time. So we think that, there will be kind of the folks that are touring full time, will have a harder time to be like gone for 8 weeks. So, there does need to be some overlap. There was overlap this year, and we projected that it was going to be a really nice split of the field, and that happened. So we watched that happen. We're excited to do it again. I think, especially when we got closer to the European, major this year, European Open, those events that were close, like the DMC had a really strong field, but also the European events around it had a really strong field. And what it does is it adds a lot more storylines. You might see people like have an opportunity to grab some more points. Players may be strategic, and they'll make some interesting choices. But the one thing we know is that, that what we're going to deliver are really intriguing, strong fields with like notable names at every single event this next year.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, this year was already incredible, and the way it's teeing up, I'm sure it'll keep growing in that way. Do you feel like your total number of events, so because you've got like obviously Pro Tour Plus, and then your playoffs and majors are in there. Do you feel like this number is about the right number? Because I'm going to follow up and ask and say, we obviously saw like Jonesboro, DDO, Swedish Open drop off with hints that they'll be back. So I'm just curious, are you rotating in and out and this is the number you're at, or are we going to grow the tour, or is it going to shrink at all?
I think that over the last 2 seasons, we've taken a strategy of making sure that road travel is sustainable for the players, for our staff, for the media staff that travels the country. And we've developed a European crew and team that we want to deliver a similar schedule for their work, but also for the players in Europe. So it is strategic that we are trying to focus our efforts a little bit more intentionally, where we can ensure that we're all pulling in the right direction for every single event and not really scrambling. There's a lot of investment from the players and from our team that goes into every event. So we want to make sure we put our best effort forward every week. And the schedule changes reflect that a little bit. And I think that we're at a point that only small tweaks from here on out, at least in the next couple of years. But we are kind of just taking feedback from the council that represents the tour card players, and hearing what can work for the players, but also being realistic about what can work for our team and our staff to support the tour too.
Do you see it being, is it competitive at all for these events now to try to get, you've always had standards, right? So they've always had to hit certain marks to get on the tour, and I'm sure you're working around lots of factors. But for example, if Jonesboro is like, yeah, we're back on next year because we think we can make it work, like, is it pushing someone else out? And is there, I'm going to call it friendly, but maybe it's not. Like, is there a competition, which in the end, by the way, is probably good for players and spectators, right, to have them competing. But is that true at all? Or is it really just about calendar and logistics management?
I think that there's certainly it's a little bit of truth in that, events are pushing the envelope. We have some events growing rapidly. We've had a lot of events on tour for a long time that I think, in the current market have challenges, hitting the goals that they set for themselves and that we set for them. But I don't know. That's not really about, any events that are cycling off. I think that what we're entering is an era where, the fans want to see a variety of courses, and, the same schedule every year, needs to be shaken up a little bit. And I personally, as an event TD, know how much is asked for from event teams, and that effort is hard to make every year. And it's not just the event team. It's the volunteers, it's the community, it's the sponsors. A lot of sponsors in the communities, they want it every year, but you have to be realistic about what the output is. And are you growing your team? Are you growing the volunteers? Are you growing spectators? Because there are events that are doing that and delivering different results because of that. And so I think that for, many events, including myself, I expect to take a year off of the Green Mountain Championship in the future. It's going to be like a recharge, but it's for events that we're like, core to the tour that we're looking ahead on. We want them to take it as, okay, I'm not off the tour, but I have a longer planning cycle to deliver different results. And what are those goals and how do we get there? So, frankly, I've asked almost all of the TDs and all of the events to plan ahead and look at like what year or, on what basis is this event going to take a year off and kind of reload in a way that's a little bit, gives you a better opportunity to kind of refresh, whether it's the course, the core volunteers, the sponsors, and give you more time for planning. I think that's the same theme of moving the schedule release earlier. We want to release 2026 and very early 25 if we can do it. It's a big effort to do it, but we're trying to do it because a lot of the cities that we work with, they want you 18 months to 2 years in advance so they can plan their budgets. And, that's one of the things you mentioned, how's things going to change in the future? Well, we're connecting with municipalities, with cities, with counties and states, and they want us to come there. And we want to hit their cycle of funding where they say, hey, come on in. We're going to bring you in. So help grow spectators, help grow purse for the players, help grow support for the event teams and the Disc Golf Pro Tour to make sure it's successful and profitable at higher levels. But we need to build that structure with those cities, and in order to do that, we have to get further ahead. So I look at it as an opportunity for people to say, I'm going to look 18 months to 2 years out now, plan that now so I can deliver the next level of standard. So it's all tied together, but certainly we want better results as part of it.
Yeah. So, in some ways that's a little bit about the major and, PDGA Pro Worlds model, right? With bids in advance so that cities and can kind of prep, which brings me to the point, hey, it's exciting. So what's it called? The Northwest. Oh, I'm forgetting the name now, but you've combined Beaver State and Portland Open.
You got it. Northwest Disc Golf Championship.
Northwest
so just
Disc Golf
Northwest.
Championship. All right, that's close.
Close. But that was
and prepping for a Worlds, right? So this is you're combining it and looking ahead at a chance to make a bid for it at least. But yeah, maybe comment on that approach because that's also unique. Kind of seeing the merging of two well-known events.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great opportunity, I think, to create a special event and to have a stated goal and a vision years in advance. We're hopeful for 2026, but the bid could be awarded for either year. And, seeing, that far ahead and knowing that the BSF shares that their team run by the Stumptown Disc Golf Club runs a great event at one of the most iconic venues in the world, and being able to combine that into one of maybe the best spectating venues in the world with another highly rated course. We're going to go, Glendoveer East on that one. It's a great opportunity to do big things, but again, you need the planning. If you want to do big things, you need more time. And, I think that name that was, we wanted to retain, kind of some of the branding of the Portland Open, the BSF, and we'll do that as we get closer. But we also wanted to represent that this is an effort of two teams together that want to achieve a special goal. Jesse Tomeno, the TD of the BSF, came up, I think, with the Stumptown Disc Golf Board with the concept of the Northwest Disc Golf Championships. And so the Portland Open team, Brian Cole is former board member of the Stumptown Disc Golf Club, our operations and logistics director, TD of the Portland Open, and helped found the Portland Open really with me and get it onto the tour. They're going to, kind of at the high level, deliver the path forward. And, I think it's going to be a great event next year. And even if it doesn't win a Worlds bid in this cycle, I think it's got a ton of potential. And I got into the sport. You guys have interviewed me about this, but in 2014, it really clicked into place what it could be when I was at the Worlds there. And 3,000 people came out then. So, we're at 3,000 people at our Disc Golf Pro Tour event at Portland Open. You combine that with the BSF crowds, which have been growing, the Riverbend Gold, Super Milo layout, and you got a lot of special things coming together. So I think it is exciting.
Yeah, I don't travel out west that much, but even I might. It's funny, like that 2014 Worlds, I think shares a special place in many people's memory. Yeah. Obviously, the Paul Rickey playoff, just and even Nate Doss being third, and kind of what an era, right? And that's 10 years ago now. So I would love to see Worlds coming back there. But regardless, I think even just on the Pro Tour, right, looking forward to that Plus event, that should be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So just moving away from the actual event logistics. So you also, I think, announced, did it even open today or soon, but like kind of a season pass for spectators. Just like that's kind of a new approach. Any comments on that? Or is that something we should just watch for as the Pro Tour continues to communicate what that's about?
No, it's on sale now. There's 3 tiers, and it's really for a small amount of people that go to more than one event a year. The concept is really driven by like a epic winter pass in the mountain resort industry, where you get your home mountain, but you also get 36 other mountains. You're not going to go to probably all 36 other mountains, but it's priced in a way that if you go to, one or two, you're going to get value. And that's the key, is that if you're going to go to multiple events, one of these will be the best, lowest average ticket value for you. So, we've looked at, we've got, I think, a lot of followers now on Eventbrite, our current ticketing platform. And, there's a lot of people waiting for those drops, and we've already seen sales starting for the season's pass. And there's only a couple hundred available. At the top level, there's only 100. And that one's really based around the Gold Pass, which we launched at last year's Worlds. When we launched it last year, we got about 80 people that bought just for Worlds. And it was $800 or $1,200. We didn't know, we put a lot into it. You got a custom squatch bag. You got all these Meet the Pros. You got to go to the opening ceremony of Worlds. You got a special, kind of meet and greet with the pros, drinks and apps and that kind of stuff. And a list goes on. The thing is that you can do so much to make a special experience for people that really love disc golf and want to have those special experiences. So we put a lot into it. We did it at, I think, 6 different events this year, and everybody loved it. And so if you're looking for that top echelon experience, and you're going to come to a couple events, that's that top tier, because you basically get, all that, multiple events like VIP all year. But like the mountain passes, like the Icon Pass or the Epic Pass, you're most people will not be trying to tour and go to every one. But if you go to a couple, you get your money's worth and more, and you get your season pass, kind of goodies in a great 10th anniversary box is included for the first purchasers, and that just went on sale too. So we got a lot of products out there, and that's one that we're really excited about. It's been kind of thought about for quite a while. We just thought it would be fun to launch it with the 10th anniversary season. And we expect a couple hundred people to take us up on it. The next opportunity is the early bird discount, where individual event VIPs go on sale, and that's right around Thanksgiving.
Okay.
But then we'll have the regular ticket sales going in January again as well.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, like you suggested, it's not for everybody, one, because you don't have enough for everybody, but you'll have no problem selling those, I would imagine. As we all know, there are plenty of people, especially when you look at the way you could either selectively say, I'm going to schedule a few trips around the country, or stay on some of the regional swings, like when it comes back to East or, the West Coast swing or whatever. So thanks for highlighting that.
Yeah.
So DGN, Disc Golf Network, how is that continuing to go? Are you meeting your subscriber expectations? Obviously, DGN 2.0, you rolled out a lot of new features, which I think generally have worked great. Of course, there's always some cynicism, but overall, it appears to be running strong, and we're consuming live events, notwithstanding all the buzz about no cell phones at Worlds this year, apparently. But overall, I'm not going to drive in on that. How's the DGN model working for you? Like, hitting all expectations?
Yeah, it's working well. We've been climbing back to our goals all season, and now we're just about back on pace. I think that you alluded to it. When you migrate, there's some extra challenges, and we spoke to that pretty directly when we launched. There was basically accessibility or compatibility issues that we worked through with our customer service team, and that's kind of settled out. And now we don't hear a lot of issues or complaints about access and compatibility. And you're right, the features are working great. We've delivered on, the slate of features that we put out there. But the more exciting part is now, we have more of a custom build, more of a control our own destiny. So we've got exciting features and projects we can build on and just improve the experience. And that's really what we're focused on doing. So next year we plan to roll out a lot more features and, improvements. And I think that the main thing is that the future is really bright, and we've got a lot of happy subscribers with the live DVR for sure. And I know that myself, I enjoy watching quite a lot more with that live DVR feature, and it's like second nature now. And it's really a standard across the OTT and the app industry. If you're watching live, YouTube TV, all the way through, custom OTT sports apps, it's something we wanted to get to sooner rather than later. So we're glad it's there.
No, that's awesome. So what are you doing with the survey that was distributed? So I think I saw a specific Pro Tour or DGN, I forget which survey. And then I also know there's this new, what they rebranded it, but the fandom survey, which I think you've also partnered on. And so there were lots of different rankings and ratings. I didn't see one that said, how do I rate Jeff Spring as CEO of the Pro Tour? I didn't see that question, but anyway, is that something that you're using to actually inform decisions? For example, broadcasters, right? Live commentators is a big thing that's always talked about, but there were lots of other questions. Does that go into influencing kind of your Pro Tour, future, DGN future? Are you considering those things when making decisions?
Well, yeah, you got it. Once you have the data, you have to consider it. And that was the main point, though. It wasn't specific. I just, I think we've been kind of wanting to procure more data, and I think there's over 6,000 responses. So I think that in aggregate, it's going to be representative. I'm not sure. I think we're going to break that down when we're making decisions for the future. Like already, we're kind of understanding what people were watching, what people were liking, what was important to our subscribers when they tune in. Who our subscribers are a little bit, and what their opinions certainly on the broadcast quality and the commentators are. And, hopefully, the more data, the better. We can just put it to use and keep improving based on, the the information we're able to glean from the results.
Cool. All right. So my last general question here. Maybe I'm asking this too generically because the answer may be yes. I'm working business, but do you have any concerns? Or maybe I should say, what are some specific concerns with kind of the flattening of the disc golf growth? When I say flattening of growth, you can interpret that however you want, but obviously it's not growing at the same rate it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So any concerns for the Pro Tour or DGN specifically where you're actually finding situations where you're making decisions based on that?
Well, I think that any business in any industry has to react to what the market's doing. And I think that it's pretty widely known that the market is in a correction phase in disc golf. The industry experienced unprecedented growth. And, that was from folks who couldn't do, as I've talked to Doug a lot about this, go to their poker games, as Doug likes to say, or, pick up basketball, their team sports. And then, we've been able to keep a lot of those folks around for a long time, but, the sport's just not as sticky for those folks that saw it as an secondary option during pandemic era times. I think it has been sticky for a lot, but just not on average, so we're watching that churn. We're planning accordingly. I think that it's a volatile, kind of time during a market correction to really try to get your projections right. So you have to stay aware and watch, those indicators to make sure that your business is on track. So short term, sometimes you have to make tough decisions and react to the reality of that individual year. But I would say long term, no. I feel like I'm not concerned at all. I think our future is bright as ever. Looking back on 2020 through 2023, shocking levels of growth, and I think we'll do a little growth this year, but not a lot, and so that's to be expected, I think, in the market correction. Although we thought we would slow down a little bit more than we did last year, and we kept going. So we feel, though, as the tour, like our mission is to create the grandest stages for the best players in the world and distribute that to as many people as possible on site and online. That last part is always part of our mission. We want to be the next growth spurt, hopefully not another pandemic. It's like our distribution to more eyes, whether it's in cities, partnering with those municipalities that I spoke to and them really activating more spectators in their region with us. Or if it's distributing, content, like we're working on. Europe has been a great market for that because there's a lot of broadcasters that want to grab disc golf content and put it out to millions of Europeans. And I think you guys probably pick up on that because there's kind of a different vibe. It's like there's not a dubious kind of side look if you're talking about professional disc golf. It's just like, great. Yeah, that's a great sport that's growing fast. I think we're growing out of that phase in the U.S., but I'm sure that everybody in the U.S. knows that sometimes people are, what's that? Is that even real? But it depends who you ask, and there's more and more people that understand that there's 10,000 disc golf courses around, and it's more and more commonplace.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So I know I've kind of thrown a bunch at you. We covered a wide range there, Jeff. That was great.
Yeah.
Nick, Matt, I don't know if you have anything else to add on.
I got a couple, I guess mainly one or two small things. Just kind of talking about Lynchburg, Virginia. You guys are there for the World Championships. Now, I know the Disc Golf Pro Tour isn't really, like the PDGA is kind of running this event, but I'm assuming you're on the ground there out in Lynchburg?
Yeah. I'm flying in tomorrow, halfway there now, but I'll be there in the afternoon.
There you go. One of the things that kind of why I'm bringing this up is we saw on the schedule that in 2025 Pro Tour Championships are headed to Lynchburg, Virginia. How did that kind of come to be to get out of the North Carolina area? Were things just not working out with Hornets Nest? I know this has been a couple of years now, but the goal was kind of to go back there. What kind of came into this decision making?
Yeah, it ties into our earlier discussion. I think that part of it is that the Charlotte community has a lot to do during that time of year. They've already created one of the greatest, disc golf spectacles in our sport, led by US Disc Golf and Innova and the USDGC. And that takes a community-wide effort to support those guys. And, then we ask them to turn around and do another like pseudo major. And it's an amazing community that we've done it successfully for 6 years. And I think we could keep going, but we actually have bigger and better plans, I think, for Charlotte. And we want to be around Charlotte, whether it's the spring or the off season or both, And so I think, we're working with the Charlotte Disc Golf Club to reposition and reload more than leave. And I think that will bring a little bit more excitement when we're there. And then we can all invest in, hey, when the USDGC is there, let's just everybody, there's not something right on its tail. Let's go all out and get as many people and much support and as much hype. So I think it works there. We are kind of slowly transitioning a little bit up the coast, but we had long been in talks with Lynchburg via the Ledgestone group there that's kind of put in the bid, run Worlds, that when Utah hosted Worlds, we haven't been back since. And there was a special moment there, and we are working with folks in Utah, and hopefully we'll get them back. But to have that enthusiasm and the investment from the community, it was important to us to hear if there is an opportunity to keep something there. So we were talking about that, and whether it was the spring or the fall, it came into focus that it would be in the fall, and it would potentially be a playoff event. And for a while, it was on our schedule as a playoff event, honestly. But as we started to get into the locked in version, it kind of came into focus that it really could work, just to try to get the right cadence. Like if this was before the USDGC and it was a playoff event in Virginia, a lot would be jammed in there. And so we took the opportunity to, kind of kill two birds with one stone, make a move, keep the energy and excitement going and the support from the community, so we don't just disappear the year after World. So we can build that relationship, which is really important, which they have there where, the county, the city, there's a lot of support on the ground. So yeah, it's, to your point, it's a PDGA major event, but we work together closely. So we're happy to, kind of be an entity that keeps that energy going next year. And there's a lot of energy. There's going to be a lot of people there. So it's exciting.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to see everything happen in Lynchburg, Virginia. And then my last thing, I guess you guys are coming back to Brooksville, Florida to start the year. So I'm excited about that.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Well,
and maybe to end the year too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. We like that.
And that's a plug for our qualifying series championship, which will award the last tour cards to hopeful players that maybe they'll make a big splash next year.
Exactly. We're excited.
Yeah, Nick, you brought that up, and I'm thinking I could ask either of you, but I don't know if either of you are able to answer this right now. I see it listed as the Florida Open once again, but that was after a name change. Is that a placeholder name, Nick or Jeff?
I'll say, I can say it's a placeholder name.
Okay.
And then whatever Jeff can say after that, I'll let him say or not.
Yeah, I think the wheels are churning there. My understanding is that we can expect chess.com to have involvement again. To what degree is in the works. But there are some other opportunities that are churning as well. So I'm excited to see, where it lands. But I think there's some other big names in the mix for that title last year, not just chess.com. So you never know what could splash down there.
Yeah. Sure. Also notable, I'm just looking at the list of events, is Dynamic Disc Open, a part of the tour for a long time, no longer a part. Is that a decision primarily from the stance of the Pro Tour, or did this event not put back in for a bid on it? Were they like, hey, we're in a big transition period? Like how did that come to be?
I would say it's the same as JBO. This is actually just maybe a little spur on what Josh and I were talking about before, but the Kansas City Wide Open has grown back to a pretty strong event, and it was a Q Series event. I think Drew Gibson might have taken it down this year. That team has been working hard, and they clearly were at a point where they're ready to do an Elite Series event. So it's a very similar market there. And we also are kind of talking about, if you look at Portland, like we have one event in Portland, and if you look at Kansas City area, now we have one event, Kansas City Emporia area, and We had 4 events in Texas last year, and now we have 2. So we're being thoughtful about, putting strain on the local area, their resources, but also, we want to deliver the best event possible with the biggest purses. Like if you look at what Gannon's done in purse this year, you would not think that anything's slowing down. He's going to shatter the record, which is a testament to our great event teams. Like the events aren't really, like stopping, they're still going. I mean, I think Idlewild just put in over 60K on a 35K minimum from us, and we were like, hey, are you sure? Like maybe 55. They're like, no, we're going for it. And that's a testament to their growth. So, I mean, to me, I think that we are excited to bring the tour back forever to Emporia and to Champions Landing. And we are so excited to see the development there. And my expectation and my hope is that we come back bigger and better than ever for a long time to come, I can't really tell you, the plans I've seen for Champions Landing are going to just keep that place going and going. And I know they got Junior Worlds there next year. So they've got a lot to focus on. But yeah, it's same with Jonesboro. I think we're working already to figure out what 2026 looks like. And I see it as a extra chance to reload and go big.
Yeah. I figured, Rusko, he wants something. I mean, with a lot going into that Champions Landing, that sounds great. And then finally, how hard of a decision was it? And was it your decision to make the European Disc Golf Festival a major? And did you decide that before the end of that tournament even finished?
It was not my decision.
Okay.
It's a PDGA, I think their majors committee, which I am a satellite member of. And so I participate in that at not full, committee member status, but more and more. They make major recommendations to the PDGA board of directors, and the board of directors, I believe, approves the majors. This was a little bit unique. My understanding is that it was announced when the European Open at Tampere and Nokia, UC's famously the event organizer for One Worlds. So when it won Worlds, it was also announced that the EDGF would serve as the European Open major. And so that was like last fall that was announced. And I know maybe people are just noticing it now, but that was decided by the PDGA at that time. I think it was, my understanding is that the EDGF had bid on Worlds, and it was the second place bid. And so they said, we're going to take this bid and award you a different major. And so I think that it's obviously, after this year's performance, people know what's going on there, that they have big time support all the way up to the president and government of Estonia that loved disc golf, recognized disc golf. It's similar to Finland in that it seems like it's vying for the national sport title. And it was incredible to work with those guys. I think that they do more and bring more than almost any other event team I've ever worked with. They have experience outside of the industry. When we work with event teams like that, I think it's like over the next few years, we want to like help them, support them, learn from them, take some of the ideas and apply them. And so I think it's exciting that they're continuing their ascent.
Yeah, and it's funny that I posed that question. Did you make that decision? Obviously, you aren't the decider of majors, but when I looked at it, I saw this year it was the Disc Golf Pro Tour European Disc Golf Festival. So in my mind, I'm like, it's your event, but they took your event. Is that what happened? Did you want it?
Did we want it? No, I mean, well, we knew that it was going to be a major in 2026, shortly after announcing, or 2025, after announcing it was going to be on the tour in 24. So it was kind of like we were just in the midst of planning, and we already knew. So, I think that with that team, we just want to support their goals and kind of bringing a new aspect like this big showcase atmosphere in the heart of a big European city. pretty cool. And like, we just want to support them. So if they wanted to go for a bid, you know, I know that they have ambitions of a world championship in the future. And I think that's been stated. You know, I think that this is going to be a big step. We anticipate them back on the tour in the future. And I think that the sky's the limit.
Okay. And we've kept you a little longer than we thought, but I want to get to this last question, and we touched on it a bit. But the Pro Tour Championship presented by Barbasol for 2025 is back in Lynchburg, where we're seeing Worlds now. It says the same as venue for Worlds 2024. Is your anticipation to use the same courses, or are you going to feel out how they go this like with Worlds this week and then make that decision kind of thing?
Yeah, I think we're gonna see. We haven't committed to a course schedule, and as you guys know, and I've talked about in the past, you know, we do see the Tour Championship as an event that we are working towards perfecting. Excuse me. So hopefully, you know, we can continue its evolution in the actual format of the tournament, but also see the results from this year's Worlds and set a course schedule that's going to be, you know, the best possible, the most exciting finish to the year. But I know I've heard it from a couple players, maybe even got a note from Paul that have a lot of ideas on where to take that and how to execute a high level Tour Championship there.
Well, you've always been known for taking feedback well. I can say that. You don't have to agree. It's what we've heard. And that's, I think, partly how you're getting where you're getting in the disc golf world, Jeff. Incredible. So I don't know where else you want to go as far as CEO of Disc Golf Pro Tour. There's not much higher to go. And we got Brain Freeze. Who's our PDGA director?
Doug.
Thank you, Doug. Great guy. Saw him out at Junior Worlds. Super excited. Like, disc golf has a very positive outlook to echo what you said, Jeff. Like, you talked about, you know, your growth and then really kind of dialing it back to where you actually are. But you said you're very positive about the future. I think we all see it as well. And you don't have to comment on this, but people see things like layoffs and they think the worst of everything. And it's like, this is pretty normal part of work. I mean, I see it at my business all the time. So
yeah, I can comment. I mean, you know, we have gone through, you know, expense reductions and included some layoffs, and we had a couple last year, you know, just kind of based on, you know, trying to right size the growth projections and wanting to position ourselves for more growth, but needing to watch. I think we're learning a lot. And, you know, it's always kind of gut wrenching to lose anybody, you know, on your team, but, you know, it's not a foreign occurrence in our industry. If you look at what's happened to the tech industry, the last few years, they've had, you know, kind of massive layoff waves. And I don't think anybody thinks the tech industry is going anywhere. So it is kind of part and parcel of, you know, creating, you know, financial discipline for, you know, startup and maturing into a company that's going to be able to hit our goals year after year. So, you know, I see it as more of our team, you know, trying to learn, you know, what's going to happen in the industry, project better, hit our projections more reliably. But it certainly has been a volatile, you know, like we certainly didn't expect the growth over the last 4 years. So, you know, in some ways I would love to see, you know, the standard 15 to 20% growth every single year come back. But yeah, but which it had done for like 15 to 20 years before the pandemic. But you know, it's maybe that would take some of the fun out of it. I don't know.
Sure, pretty cool. A lot going on in disc golf. We thank you for your time here, Jeff. Always appreciate that. The fact that you still got one guy working for the Pro Tour who sets these things up for us. It's fantastic. You know, I wish everyone had someone like that.
We've got over 50 great employees at the tour.
Awesome.
And you know, it's a big operation. And you know, I'm proud of the team, and you know, we always want to keep growing. And I think we've got a bright future, like you guys said.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll see you around. Word is getting around. I've moved really close to Maple Hill. So when you come by, I mean, like really close. So when you come by, I'll have you over for a cookout or something.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in your basement for the tournament.
If you really
You and the
want
other
to.
teenagers that want to.
Yeah, that's the problem. I gotta really I don't know.
I won't kick out Gannon or Cole. It's all right.
Oh, speaking of which, we'll let you go. We're going to talk about Cole. He just announced his departure from Worlds. He will not be competing. So,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
All right.
Jeff.
Thanks for coming on, Jeff. We appreciate it. All
Watched.
Thanks, everybody.
right. Peace out. Bye. Jeff Spring,
Yeah,
everybody.
that is a big topic, though, Matt.
Yeah,
not
let's
one
talk
to
about
be
it
like-
as we outro here.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not like a huge topic, but if you guys saw on Cole Redollin's Instagram, he's been battling a hip injury that he's been working on for, I would say, a decent amount of time now, and unfortunately, it is not in a spot where he feels he can be competitive at Worlds, so he dropped from the event.
He said he thinks he could throw well enough, but he's literally said walking the courses was going to be too much. So
Yeah,
that's no good.
yeah, we kind of breezed over in some of our course overview, but something like both courses being so long, but with all the elevation, Ivy Hill, people are actually saying like the grind is not just the throwing. The grind is like walking the course because they've had carts for all these
I was
practice
gonna say
rounds.
all their practice days they've been riding around in carts. They're not getting used to it.
Yeah, because by the way, Cole threw 593 feet in the distance competition, so he was still there.
Yeah.
And throwing, but yeah, I think just he's concerned about causing more serious damage, right, to whatever's bothering him in his hip. And long term, those of us who are older, I'll raise my hand to know that long term, you got to be careful that you don't do things that cause bigger issues, especially with a pro career still in his future. So probably a good decision. I'm sure it's disappointing. This, like we said at the beginning, this is the one event you're really, really gearing up for. Mm-hmm. But won't be there. Won't be competing at least.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more that we have to talk about. Someone will obviously comment and say, you guys missed this
Why
glaring
don't you talk about this?
Yeah.
Well, AB almost threw 700 feet.
Yep.
Wow.
There's that.
There's that. That's
Yeah,
like
AB won
own winning
competitions.
putting competitions.
I was
There's
gonna
that.
say I was gonna say earlier, like, guys, guess who won FPO putting? And Owen
Yeah.
Scoggins.
Own. Yeah.
And then
you
Dylan
guys
Horst
won't be
for
able
the
to hear
skills
it, but I'm
comp.
going to start the outro music. Talk about what you want.
No, I would say if we're kind of getting to that point, one final thing I do want to say is shout out to all the Peaks and Creeks, Bedford communities out in Lynchburg area right now who have done so much to help out the courses, but the biggest shout out being Kenny Palmer. Kenny Palmer is the main reason why Bedford, Virginia is on the map and was such a huge critical reason why the World Championships are there. He unfortunately did pass away from brain cancer earlier this year. So rest in peace to Kenny, but he and his crew were just huge in everything happening in that area of Virginia. So shout out to them. And I guess, are we full-blown outroing?
Yeah. I don't
Alrighty.
think there's much that we missed.
Yeah. Thank
mean,
you everybody for tuning in.
We glanced over the cell phone thing. My 10-second take is it's where disc golf's at. You can be upset, but I think it's for the best. And I don't think this is a matter of you feeling like, can I give up my phone or not? Is it my right to have my phone or not? People bring up the Masters and they say you're not allowed to bring your phones on the grounds. It's for a totally different reason. People are actually like bought into that. Like, hey, I want to do that for the experience.
Yeah.
I think this was just kind of sprung on people in a way that they don't love it. That's for sure. But it's where disc golf's at, and I kind of feel like embrace it a bit. It will move beyond this. Nobody thinks this is how they want it to be forever. At least that's my thing. All
You
right.
can't win them all. You say, hey, go to better courses, and those better courses sometimes don't have good cell signal. And then you think, okay, go to courses that have good cell signal, and then it ends up being a really horrible course to watch on coverage. So there's no winning in disc golf is what I have found. So anyways, thank you everybody for tuning in on another awesome night. Shout out to Hooligan Discs and Disc Golf 978. Go check them out. Links will be in our bios. Also, Pop Drop Lock this week. That will do the Insider Pass giveaway for the MVP Open presented by OTB Discs. Go check out all those things. Tell someone you love them this week. Catch you guys in the next one.
Hashtag
Post Worlds.
where's Ben?